Hello, hope you can hear me. If you're there, let us know. Let's get this up on here. Hello, thanks, Catherine. Let's get the link up. Okay, welcome. You can hear me? Hello. Hi. Most of this session is going to be looking at the table, so you won't have to look at me. We're going to run through some hands today, play out some actual hands and work on what we learned last week in week 3. It will help kind of clarify a lot of the kind of procedures and how to play. So we're going to get started with one hand. We've got 4 hands to go through as examples, and I'm going to pull the screen down now so you can see the table. Hope that works. Right. So we've got our game laid out. We've got as far as dealing the cards out. So if you remember last week, we've got a button. That's a dealer in seat 1. Seat 2, small blind. He's going to put his small blind in, 25. So blinds, what are they? To clarify, the small blind is a forced bet that this player has to put in to generate action to get the game going. This player here in seat 3 puts a big blind in. He's putting in 50. So the blinds are 25 and 50. For the purpose of this tutorial, you are going to be the player in the big blind. So you are putting 50 into the pot. You have to do it. You don't have a choice. And this is your hand. So we have a pair of 3s. Okay? Every player's got 2,500 chips in front of them. We've got 5 players at the table. You're in the big blind and you've got a pair of 3s. We're going to run through a few hands and it will help understand in better detail the procedures. The first hand is going to go just to the flop, and then the next hand to the turn, and next to the river. So we're going to show how hands play out in reality rather than hands running all the way, which doesn't really happen that much. So in this example, dealer has dealt the cards. Every player has 2 cards face down that they can't show to anyone. You would not normally have your hand turned over in this situation. We're just doing this so that you can learn. But we've got a pair of 3s and we're in the big blind. So we put 50 in. So now our stack is 2,450. And our 50 is in the middle that we have to put in because we're in the big blind. The first player to act is always to the left of the big blind when we're doing the betting before the flop. So it's the pre-flop betting, the first round of betting. And the first player to act is here. He looks at his hand and he's folding. So the cards get drawn into the muck to the dealer. It's called the muck. They go face down, and this player doesn't have to play any more part in this hand. Come around to the next player. He's in seat 5. He also wants to fold. So again, same as seat 4, just puts his hands into the muck and passes. We now come around to the player on the button, the dealer button. No one else has put any money into the pot. He doesn't know what this player in the small blind has, and the big blind either. So this player kind of can raise whatever cards they've got, really, within reason. Because more often than not, these hands might not be playable. So just to give an example, if he has 3 options. He can either fold his hand, he can call the 50, or he can raise. For the example that we're going to do here, we're going to make him raise. So this player makes it 150. So he's raised the big blind by 100. Comes this player who's in the small blind. If he has now 3 options: fold and give up the small blind, the 25 he had to put in. He can call the 150, which would mean he'd have to put in another 125, or he can raise, which would be making it more than 125. For the sake of this example, this player is now going to fold, okay? Comes to us, we have a pair of threes. As we spoke about last week, this is a hand you can play and you want to be able to see at least the first three cards possibly in certain situations. We've got 2,500 in chips. We've got 50 in the middle already. It's debatable, but this is probably more kind of game theory for people beyond beginners, but it is absolutely fine to put the extra 100 in to call. So you're going to match the bet that you're facing, 150 here, and call. So the betting now ends because this player's had a chance to act. He's made it 150 and you've called the 150. These chips come into the middle. So there's 325 available to win now. The dealer will tap the table and we go to the flop. We're going to reveal the 3 community cards called the flop, which we discussed last week. If you have any questions at this stage, do post on the chat. We are answering the questions as we go along. But if you think you're okay at this stage, we'll crack on. So the flop gets dealt. So that's 3 cards get turned over by the dealer. And now the next stage of betting commences. The betting begins with the player to the left of the button. So this player's not in, no cards. So it's us. We have to act first. We have a pair of threes and the flop, or the community cards, to make the best hand is ace, queen, 10. So our best hand is still a pair of threes. We have 3 options. Two. We can check. We can't fold. We're not allowed to fold at this stage because if you want to kind of give up on the hand, we have to check, or we can bet. If we check, that passes the betting onto this player. If we make a bet, say 300, this player can now fold, call, or raise. For this example, we're going to check. Why? Because the player here is raised, and we have a pair of threes. Most of the hands that the player is raising with might have hit an ace, queen, or 10, or if this player has 4s or above, they're going to be winning. So I hope that makes sense. If this player has started with a pair of 4s or better, or started with ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, ace, 10, king, queen, king, jack, king, 10, 10s, queens, aces, a lot of hands, they're going to be in the lead. So we're going to check because we want to see what this player does. The player bets 300. We can't continue the hand really because we have no idea where we are. We were kind of looking to hit a 3 to make a set. So we can say quite happily, fold. When you fold, the money that was in the middle that you put in, which is 150, that's gone. You don't lose any more, you just lose what was in the pot. Now we'll have a look at what the player had. Ace, jack. So this player raises an ace and a jack, and the flop came ace, queen, 10, and he's made a pair of aces. That's the first hand. Hope that helps. Sometimes running the hands through with actual cards in play is a lot easier than just explaining it without them. So our next hand. So the next hand, the button moves to the left. We're down the small blind. We put 25 in the middle. This player has to put 50. Cards get dealt. Let's run through this. Right. So, as per a normal hand, everyone has 2 cards face down. They would have been dealt in a different order, but for the sake of this example, our hand is a pair of jacks. We're in the small blind for 25. The big blind is 50. The first place to act, as it was last time, is the left of the big blind. Folds. This player is going to call. To call, you have to match the bet you're facing. So the big blind is 50, this player calls. They put in 50. The next player folds. It comes to us. We have a pair of jacks. This is as we discussed last week, one of the better starting hands. This is a hand you should be raising with, really, because you want to make sure that you win as much as possible as you can off a good hand that you have. So we can make it, say, 200 total. Comes to this player here in the big blind. 3 options. Fold and leave the 50 in the middle, give that up. Call the 200, which would be an extra 150. Or raise to more, any amount over 350. For the example, this player's going to fold. Comes back round to this player who had called the 50. When you make a call and a player raises, your options reopen. So you are now able to have all your options available. So player can fold, player can call by adding 150 to the middle, or the player now has another option to raise. Because we have made a raise, this player can now make a raise again if they like. Player calls. So 200 invested by this player, 200 from ourselves, and we have the 50, which was the big blind. Dealer deals a flop. The first 3 community cards. It comes 7-5-2. The first player to act is ourselves. We're left at the button, so we have to act first. We've got a pair of jacks, and the flop is 7-5-2. So we still have 1 pair. We probably have quite a good hand because the only hands we were losing to before would have been queens, kings, or aces. And then if the player doesn't have them, we're now losing to 7s, 2s, 5s, 7-5, 7-2, or 7-5. We can safely assume our hand is probably winning. So we can put a bet in. So this is the pre-flop bet, this is the next bet, 300. This player decides to call. That is the second round of betting complete. So these bets get brought into the middle. Now, in the middle to win, is 1,050. The dealer now will deal the next card. It's a jack. What is the hand that we have now? Our hand is improved. We now have 3 of a kind. 3 jacks, 7 5s, our best 5-card hand. We can now make another bet, say 500. This player, we're going to say folds. What does the player have? A pair of 8s. So now let's look at this player's hand. Made a raise, called a bet, called a bet, and then folded. So a pair of 8s, look good here, this card came, doesn't look so good anymore, and quite rightly folds. That's an example of a hand going to what is called the turn card, okay? So that hand went to the turn. You remember our first hand, where we had 3s, we only went to the flop. Not all hands go all the way to the river card, the 5th card. Most commonly in poker, you don't get many hands that go all the way to the end. Our next example. I hope this is helping. If it isn't, let us know. But we had some requests that we do it this way for this session. Right. This one, we're going to go all the way to the end and see what happens. So the button moves again, because it's a new hand. We don't have to put a blind in, we're on the button. It's left of the button, puts a small blind. Second left puts in a big blind. Everyone's got 2 cards face down as usual. Comes to this player here. This player here, who's in every hand so far, he's going to raise to 150. Okay. We have a fold from this player. It comes to us. What is our hand? We have a pair of kings. This is the second best hand you can start with in poker. So we have a few options. We can fold. We wouldn't do that. we can call the 150 or we can raise. More often than not, you probably want to raise here. So let's say we make it 400. The reason you might want to raise here is because you have the second best hand and you want to make sure that the player who wants to play with you is paying the maximum to lose, if that makes sense. Contrast to the small blind, this player here. If you're in this seat, what have you seen? A player has raised to 150, another player's made it 400. You have to have a very good hand here to want to keep playing. So this player doesn't have a good hand, it's going to fold. And the same with the big blind, same options. Can call the 400 or can raise. Hard to have good hand. Our villain here, the other player, is going to call. Again, two options. Or three, sorry. Fold, get rid of the hand and leave the 150 in the middle. Call, which would be putting in an extra 250 to make it 400. Sorry, yeah. And then the other option would be to raise to make it more than 400. But for the sake of this example, the player is going to call. Calls the 400. We now bring the bets in, so the 400 from our opponent, our 400, and the 75 from the blinds. Now don't forget, not every hand plays out with just two players. There's loads of hands that will play out with lots of different players. So to make it easy to show you, we're just running this through with just two players in every hand. Our pre-flop pot is in the middle here. Dealer's going to deal the flop. 3 community cards, it becomes 10, 7, 2. Again, as usual, left of the button acts first. So it's our villain here who has to act first. In the last two hands, we had to act first each time because we were in the small blind or big blind. I'm just going to answer the question, Michael. Would you recommend that new players play their strong hands aggressively to help learn the game and introduce deception bluffing? I like you, Michael. I played quite tight before, so I'd always raise in my good hands, and I would suggest that to new players. I would definitely recommend, if you have a strong hand, play it what we call aggressively, which means keep betting with it. And introduce bluffing when you're more comfortable. Yeah, I would certainly suggest that bluffing is for those who become more comfortable. There's a lot of players out there who are new to the game who think that it's all about bluffing, and it isn't. And Michael brings up a really good point here. Bluffing is quite a nuanced thing. It needs to be done at the right time against the right player, and you need to learn how to execute bluffing correctly. So you're absolutely. I think maybe what you're suggesting, Michael, is that is how probably you should play if you're a beginner. Once you're comfortable and confident with how to play your own strong hands, then you can start being creative and bluffing with your less strong hands. So let's go back to our hand. Our villain here is going to check. If we put ourselves in the player's seat here, he raised and being re-raised. So we're really cautious about what this player might have. Check, comes to us, we can make a bet. 500. Our villain wants to call. Puts in a call. What do we think here? This is all about how this game plays now. We've got a very good hand, and we've got to think, what has our opponent got? Has he got something on the board, or has he got something better? Bets get brought into the middle, next card gets dealt. It's another 7. Our opponent, again, check or bet are his options. Check, and we can check or bet. Just for the sake of the hand to play out, we're going to check. We can put a bet in. We probably should, to be honest, because the board hasn't changed that much, but we're going to check and keep the pot small. Okay? And the last card comes an ace. Comes to our villain here. Again, elects to check. Comes to us with kings. This is not a card we want to see, because if the villain does have an ace, then we're losing, because we have kings and sevens with an ace. If our villain, our opponent, has an ace, they've got aces and sevens with something else. So we can put a bet in, but if we get raised, we might end up folding. So we're going to check. Both players check at a river, the last card. That means that we go to showdown, it's called. So both players have to show their cards. What does our opponent have? Queen 10. So the opponent made a pair on the flop. So before the cards are, sorry, before the betting, raised to 150 a Queen 10, we made it 400. Player made a loose call and lets to play the hand, made a pair of tens, called our bet, and then decided to keep the pot small, and then we kind of had to because it came an ace. In this situation, the best hand is sevens and kings with an ace. This player has tens and sevens with an ace. So we win the money in this hand. That is a hand that goes all the way to the end. So that's a hand that went to the river, okay? Right, we're going to do one more hand before the session finishes. Again, the button moves to the left, or clockwise. Small blind posted, and now the villain, our opponent in every hand so far, puts in the big blind. Okay. So, as per usual, obviously these cards will be dealt properly in an actual game, but just for ease. So, first player to act, as we know now, is the left of the big blind. So, the blinds are 25 and 50. Left of the big blind is the first player to act. A fold. Comes to us. We have three options. As per usual, we can either fold, we can call, which calls the 50, the big blind, or we can raise. Let's have a look at our hand. Our hand is 6-5 of clubs. This is one of these hands that is very tempting to play. Why? Because it can make a straight, or it can make a flush, or you can make two pairs, or you can make tricks. Quite a few hands can make here. We've won a few hands as well, so we've now got a lot of chips. It wouldn't be ridiculous to put a raise in here, but for the sake of the hand, we're going to call. We're going to play cautious. If you're a beginner, it is not a bad thing to call with this hand in certain environments. If it's a table full of players who are making a lot of raises, then maybe not. But it's not terrible to call. Player on the button folds, comes to a small blind. This player has three options: fold, put in 25 more to call, or raise. In this situation, probably worth a call, whatever your card, well, to the degree what your cards are. Comes to the big blind, our kind of resident villain, makes it 250. Now we have to call 200 more if we want to play. It's probably not a great call, but it's not terrible either. There's every justification here to fold, raise, call, but we're going to just call for the sake of the hand. Our player here, in this situation, hasn't got a good hand, so folds. So once again, it's just us and our opponent. In all the bets coming to the middle, the betting for this stage is finished, the pre-flop betting, and now the dealer deals the flop. So it comes 8, 4, 9. The first thing you got to think about is looking at your own cards and what the flop is. What have we got? We have got a draw to a flush. A draw to a flush means another club gives us a flush, because you need to make a 5-card hand. So 5 clubs would give you a flush. We have 9, 8, 6, 5 of clubs available. We also have a draw to a straight. If a 7 comes, we can make a straight. So that's 5 cards in rank order. That'd be 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. Okay? Sorry, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5 would be our best straight. Also, if it came with 3, we can make a straight. Sorry, no, we can't there. So yeah, we can make a straight with a 7, or we can make a flush with a club. So we've got a good hand. We're drawing to lots of different possibilities. Our player here makes a bet. Now we're going to turn over his hand now, just to show. Pair of 9s. What is this player's hand? A set of 9s. So best hand is 9, 9, 9, 8, 4. This is the best hand available at the moment on this board. Makes a bet, puts all the money in. We feel like a flutter. We're going to match it. So we match the bet. When you match a bet where a player is all in, you do not need to put any more in. So this player's got 6, 7, 8, 9, 1,025 left. So you have to put in 1,025, and from now on, this player can't add any more money to the pot because the pot is here. The player has no more chips left, so you can't face any more bets. He or she is all in. I can't make it straight with a 3. You can't make it straight with a 3, Catherine, because a 3 would be 6, 5, 4, 3. So you wouldn't. Let's get a 3 out. You need to make a 5-card hand, Catherine. So your best hand here is still 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, which isn't a straight. 6, 5, 4, 3 is a 4-card straight. You need to make a 5-card hand. I hope that helps. So our player's all in. We've matched the bet. We don't need to put any more money into this pot for it to continue. Cards get turned over. We're losing at the moment. The next card is a 3 of clubs. What hand do we have now? We've got a flush, 5 of the same suit. So you can see, Catherine, the 3 of clubs does make us a good hand, but any other 3 wouldn't have. So our best 5-card hand is a flush. There's still one more card to be dealt, and that card does get dealt because this player still needs to have an opportunity to win. The river card. We're now going to run through the rest of this deck and show all the different permutations of who would win. Okay? 3. Who's our winner here? We've got a flush. Our best 5-card hand is 6, 9, 8, 6, 5, 3, all clubs. That's a flush. Our opponent has 3 9s and 2 3s. That makes a full house. A full house beats a flush. So the money in this situation goes to our opponent. Let's go to the next one. A 2. Our flush still wins. For this player to win, the board effectively needs to pair. So it needs to come in 8, a 4, a 3, or the last 9. We win here. Still got a flush. Our opponent still has 3 9s. We win again. Still, we have a flush. Our opponent has 3 9s. And we win again, and again, and again. And this should display how strong our hand is now. You can see there aren't many cards that favour this player. This player is now drawing against us to make the best hand. We have the flush here. We have the best hand. This player needs the board to pair. So again, struggling, nothing. Here we go. Board has changed. We've got a flush still. That will never change. This player has made a full house. 9, 9, 9, 8, 8. Now, let's find the key card. This is the other example of how we can make our hand even better and win. What hand do we have here? 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. This is called a straight flush. We didn't need to make this hand to beat this hand, but we've made an even better hand than we had already. We had a flush, and now we've made a straight flush. So you can see from those 4 examples how different hands play out. Pairs, drawing hands like this, kings, middle pairs, and hopefully this has helped clarify some stuff. We're going to do exactly the same thing next week. We're going to run through hands as they play out, and it clarifies things a lot better, and you can really understand. If you enjoy these videos, do keep sharing them, keep giving us some comments, and sending your questions for next week. And thanks a lot for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again next week. We'll be back again 8:15 every Thursday indefinitely. So give us a shout. Thanks a lot, guys, and have a good evening. See you later.